You are listening to Over and Back's Basketball Mysteries of the 1970s. Today's mystery is, what are the most incredible moments of the 1970s? All right, we are back. I'm Jason. With me as usual is Rich, and we are talking about the most incredible moments of the 1970s. Moments that are exciting, moments that are clutch, moments that just make you go wow. So it's certainly going to be incomplete. You know, it's really impossible to go through a decade and to find everything that is incredible. So if you feel like we missed something, we forgot your favorite moment, let us know. We can maybe talk about it on a future episode. So, Rich, how's it going?
Good. And also a little note there, too. What's considered incredible to us might not be the same to you. What you think is, oh, my God, how did you guys miss this awesome moment of my, favorite team doing this? Again, yeah, we definitely encourage you at Over and Back NBA on Twitter to definitely reach out to us and just let us know any of your moments, or even in the show notes or whatever. People can contact us many different ways. Let us know, what is your favorite moment? What's one? And yeah, we do have an episode that we're kind of reserving towards the end of the show, or the end of the series, rather, that is going to be things we missed. And we will absolutely cover that if there's a moment that you say, oh my God, how do you not cover this? You got to cover this. We'll absolutely do it, because it's subjective. This what we consider incredible and what you and I consider incredible versus what other people might. And yeah, it's hard to maybe we miss some stuff too. I mean, we are human, David.
We are. We're not robots. We're not basketball mystery solving robots, Rich.
No. I mean, geez.
Yeah. One of the most incredible moments, two of them happened in the same finals, actually the 1970 finals, certainly, greatly mythologized, and we've gotten into it in previous episodes, but, these are key moments. They certainly are worth mentioning.
Absolutely, yeah. The first one, Jerry West's 60-foot shot. So this is after splitting the first two games of the series. It's, of course, between the Lakers and the Knicks. The teams moved to Los Angeles for Game 3, and the Lakers promptly grabbed a 56-42 halftime lead. The Knicks, led, of course, by Dave DeBusschere and Dick Barnett, chipped away at the margin in the third quarter and finally drew even at 96-96 with 2 minutes to play. The lead then seesawed after that. Wilt Chamberlain made one of two free throw attempts to tie the score again at 100 with 13 seconds left. DeBusschere scored in a short jumper with 3 seconds left to put New York up by 2. The Lakers were out of timeouts, so West took the inbound pass from Chamberlain in the backcourt, dribbled as far as he dared, and then launched up a 60-footer. It found its target as DeBusschere, under the basket, threw his arms up in disgust, which is a great visual as well. West Bomb tied the score at 102-102 and sent the game into overtime. The Knicks managed to regroup and ended up winning the game 111-108. But an interesting little note, though, is, of course, you're thinking, wait a minute, he shot it from 60 feet and they were down by 2. What? Well, they didn't have a three-point shot yet, of course. So had West's shot taken place today, it would have been worth 3 points, and the Lakers would have won the game in regulation, and it might have changed the course of that series as well, and been like an all-time legendary, incredible. I mean, imagine that, like hitting a 60-foot shot to win a game in the NBA Finals. I mean, it's just incredible. So yeah, it of course, with the limitations of the game. I mean, still 102-102, and we had that, which is a great moment as well. And then we'll jump ahead to Game 7 of this very series, which is, of course, maybe one of the more, I would say, almost. It's hard to rank it, but it's got to be in that top 10 or even the top 5 of like iconic moments in NBA history. It's always played. You know it. Everybody knows it if you're a fan, even at least to a small extent of the NBA. And it's Willis Reed marching down the tunnel in Game 7. So here's a little bit of background for that prior to Game 7. This is May 8th, 1970 at 7:30 p.m. Reed, the captain and the main force of the multi-talented New York Knicks, of course, was sidelined with an injury that threatened his team chances to win the NBA championship. This is Game 7. They really need this guy. The first 4 games of the finals, Reed had scored 37, 29, 38, and 23, while averaging 15 rebounds. So he's a big deal to this team as well. So at 7:34 p.m., Reed limped onto the court, even though people had basically assumed he wasn't going to play the game. The crowd went wild, and his teammates' confidence returned with vengeance. Reed somehow managed to outjump Wilt Chamberlain on the opening tip, and then scored the game's first basket on a shot from the top of the key. He then scored the second New York basket from 20 feet out. He did not score again. That's, I guess, it's kind of turning back a little bit, where the narrative a lot of people now have to point out, and rightfully so, that I didn't really do a whole lot in that game. It was really Walt Frazier that carried a big load, but I mean, still that confidence of him coming down there and then those first 2 points and beating the tip, and it just really, and Knicks players will say that too. Yeah, he didn't contribute a lot, in terms of the stat line and all that sort of stuff, but he didn't have to. The team was already just super motivated by what he did. But yeah, just one of the most iconic, famous moments in NBA history. And of course, the Knicks went on to win the NBA Finals. So
yeah, and another one involving the Knicks in their long rivalry with the Bullets in went through the playoffs for 6 seasons in a row. I believe they played in the playoffs. This one's in the Eastern Conference Finals in 71. Fred Carter for Baltimore in Game 7 hit a decisive jump shot with just over a minute left that gave Baltimore the game and the series. So the one time Baltimore was able to win that series and was able to make it to the finals and having a dramatic upset run. Of course, did not work out for them very well against the Bucks in the finals, but certainly did well during that series.
And this isn't a singular moment, one that I think we definitely had to talk about, and it was the Lakers' historic run. So, Elgin Baylor, the Lakers legend, he announced his retirement 9 games into the season. This is 1971, by the way. That night, so he announces his retirement. That's a big part of the Lakers team that's out and gone, and people kind of wonder, what's going to happen to these Lakers now? Well, they began a winning streak that would last for 2 months, totaling 33 games. So they did pretty okay without Elgin. November 5th, 1971, the Lakers beat the Baltimore Bullets 110-106. This began their win streak. Again, as I mentioned, they did not lose a game for more than 2 months. On December 12th, they beat Atlanta 104-95 for their 21st in a row, which broke the NBA record, which was set by the Milwaukee Bucks just a year later. And then, of course, that run would go into 33 games and still be an iconic, all-time win streak that I really just don't think. Do you think that one's ever going to get broken?
No, I can't imagine.
I can't fathom a team being like, let's do it. Like, like somewhere in that line, like they're going to be like, all right, I'm taking a day off. Or like, they're going to just chill. Like, coaches aren't that way anymore. I just don't think that they would be that methodical. And that 33 is a lot. We saw that the grind with, what was that Miami one? They went to 20, did they get to 30?
I don't remember. They got to 27.
27, that was it. Yeah. And that was like, oh my God. And like, you could tell that it was like wearing on those guys. It was a grind. Like, 33. That's just, I just can't fathom that happening.
No. Yeah. That one, that's pretty much impossible to imagine. So yeah, for sure. So the next one is Roger Brown versus Rick Barry in the 1972 season. It's a regular season game. This is from remembertheaba.com, but some vivid memories there where the Pacers are down by 3 with 2 seconds left. Freddie Lewis banks in a three-pointer to send the game into overtime. In overtime, the Pacers are down with 10 seconds to go. The Nets have the ball out of bounds, and Roger Brown jumps in front of Barry, draws a charge. Then the Pacers clear out the floor for Brown with Barry playing defense. With just 2 seconds left, Brown drives to the basket and puts up a soft finger roll for the win. Barry had 48 points in that game, but Roger Brown coming through in the clutch to answer the bell once again. Just of course, we talked about in some previous episodes on the Pacers just what a tremendous performer he was, and how he matched up with Barry, the class of the ABA during that time. Brown it wasn't as good for nearly as long, but at his peak was absolutely as good as Barry. A couple other interesting ones. The Pacers versus the Denver Rockets, later the Nuggets, in the 72 Western Division semifinals. In Game 2 at Indianapolis, Ralph Simpson hit a floating jumper with 4 seconds left to give the Rockets a 106-105 victory. The Rockets actually surprisingly took the Pacers to 7 games in that series, but the Pacers ended up winning and going on to win the ABA Finals. Also in 72, in the Eastern Division Finals, the Squires versus the Nets, a Julius Erving and Rick Barry duel in Dr. J's rookie year. It was actually in Virginia, and Erving had a big game with 35 points, but the Nets ended up winning. And Barry banked in a three-pointer at the end of the game to seal the win, 94-88. So a great one there. 1973, the Lakers against the Bulls. The Lakers are down by 1 with 33 seconds left. Chamberlain blocks Norm Van Lier's shot. Then he throws a long pass to Gail Goodrich for the eventual game-winning basket. The Bulls have one last chance to get on top, but they let the 24-second shot clock expire. And then with 2 seconds left, Van Lier ends up fouling West, and the Bulls lose 95-92. Another one involving the Bulls that went better for them against the Pistons in 74. It's Game 7. Chet Walker hit a head fake 10-footer with 3 seconds to go, and then Dennis Autry tipped Dave Bing's inbounds pass to seal the win.
Move on now. Kareem's skyhook in Game 6 in 1974 is another iconic moment in NBA history. Milwaukee led by 12 points in the first half and by 6 in the stretch, but a long jumper by John Havlicek tied the score 86-86. The Bucks' Oscar Robertson was caught in a 24-second violation as the time expired in regulation. So with the Bucks leading late in the first overtime, Havlicek repeated his heroics, converting his own missed shot to tie the score at 90-90 to force a second extra session of this game. In the second overtime, Havlicek scored 9 of Boston's 11 points. It's a theme. John Havlicek good in this game, including a rainbow jumper over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 7 seconds left for a 101-100 Boston lead. With the champagne about to be uncorked, Milwaukee called a timeout and set up one last play, not for Jabbar, but for swingman John McLaughlin. However, the play was broken when McLaughlin couldn't shake himself free, so Jabbar stood to the right of the lane with the ball. Abdul-Jabbar looked for someone else to pass to, but could find no one, so he dribbled to the baseline, turned, and put up his graceful skyhook. It nestled through the net for a 102-101 Bucks win that tied the series at 3 games apiece. The Celtics then, of course, bounced back like champions for Game 7 in Milwaukee. They changed their strategy and began to double team Kareem, which freed up Dave Cowens to concentrate more on offense. Cowens responded nicely with 28 points and 14 rebounds as the Celtics coasted to a 102-87 win and Boston's 12th NBA title.
Yeah, and we talked about that quite a bit with Bob Ryan on the previous show looking at the Celtics. Yes. So that's obvious. Yeah, the Celtics had 2 pretty classic finals in 3 years, with of course the finals against the Bucks and then the even more famous triple overtime game against the Suns, which we're going to get into a little bit in just a minute. So the next is, and we talked about this in our playoff upsets episode, but probably the greatest upset in playoff history, the Spirits of St. Louis, 32 wins, upsetting the Nets, 58 wins in the first round of the 75 Eastern Division semifinals. The Spirits are up at this point 3-1. They're in Game 5 in New York, and it looked like the Nets were about to win, but Don Adams forces a turnover. Julius Erving, he dribbles the ball off his leg into the backcourt, and then Freddie Lewis gets the ball, dribbles to the top of the key with 3 seconds left. He hits a jumper to win the game and the series for the Spirits. The Spirits would eventually lose in the next round to Kentucky, although they put up a decent fight as well. But the Spirits, of course, known mostly for antics, but for one series they put together an amazing run and beat absolutely the class of the league that year.
Miracle at Richfield, a very famous one from the Cavs Bullets. This is 1976 Eastern's Finals. 5-foot runner with 4 seconds remaining. It broke an 85 all-tie in Game 7. It was Dick Snyder hitting the shot. 75-76 season with Austin Carr, Bingo Smith, Jim Jones, Dick Snyder, and the newly acquired Nate Thurmond. Bill Fitch-led Cavaliers were just a pretty solid team, 49-33 record, which is the best record in the Central Division. Bill Fitch had received the Coach of the Year award, and the Cavs made their first ever playoff appearance. The Cavs won the series against the Boston Bullets 4-3, and because many of the heroics and last-second shots, the series became locally known as the Miracle of Richfield. However, hampered by injuries, particularly to Jones, the Cavs, they proceeded to lose to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA playoffs, but the Cavaliers still kind of hold on to the Miracle at Richfield as being just a big deal for that franchise and that town especially. And only recently have they been able to succeed that with new greatness. But for a while, that was it for the old Cavs. But definitely just a great singular moment with Dick Snyder, and then just a great season all around for that team.
Absolutely. And Game 4 of the 1976 ABA semifinals, the Nets versus Spurs. This is a very spirited series. We got into it a bit in the Dr. J episode on his Nets years, but he scored a game-high 35 points, grabbed 14 rebounds, and had 4 assists. He had 11 fourth-quarter points, including a game-winning dunk to win 110-108. It took 7 games, but the Nets were able to beat the Spurs during that series. The Nets and the Spurs had a lot of bad blood. There were some fights during that series. Both the teams had a couple of trades with each other, so there were a lot of players who were used to had played with each other, so there's a lot of perhaps some personality conflicts that from being with ex-teammates or just the competitive nature of someone you're very close to. But that series certainly got a little nasty, and Erving was able to have some key clutch moments. And speaking of Erving in the clutch in '76, he also had another great moment in a couple great moments in the ABA Finals that year.
Yeah, and in the background, if you hear like an odd noise, that's my dog dreaming. He's having a I don't know what he's doing in his dream, but he's having a lot of fun.
Nice.
So if you hear some odd like squealing, I don't know what he's doing, but he's really enjoying it. So go for him. 1976. This is the ABA Finals for Dr. J. He hits a game winner in Game 1 of the ABA Finals. He quoted, "It wasn't really the shot I wanted. This was he hit the shot over Bobby Jones, who was one of the better defenders in either league, in the ABA or the NBA, to moralize the Nuggets, and it gave the Nets a leg up in the series. Game 6, the Nets trailed 80-58 with just 18 minutes remaining. They rallied to win that game. They outscored the Nuggets 34-14 in the fourth quarter. Erving had 31 points. That was tied his series low, which that's pretty not bad if 31 is your series low. But his floor game in that particular game was just unbelievable. He had 19 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, 4 block shots. Just a great, prime ABA Julius Erving, stat line there. A little bit more about that sort of final stretch in Game 6, which of course won them the finals. Erving received the ball at the top of the key, and he operated a kind of a 1-4 set. He attacked the basket, accepted the double team, and kicked the ball to open teammates who either made shots or drew fouls against their defenders who were closing out on them, in part because the defensive attention that Erving drew. So everybody was trying to get Erving, but he was smart enough to give up his shots and get past his other people. And guys really benefited. And they, as the team, they of course benefited. One in particular was shooting guard Super John Williamson. He scored 16 points in that fourth quarter to help the Nets win. So yeah, even though Dr. J didn't have to dominate on his own, it was his passing acumen and just his basketball smarts that ended up winning the Nets that game and the ABA Finals that year.
Yeah,
so.
And that's the good account of that from remembertheaba.com that gets into that finals series and Erving's performance in particular very well.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful website as well. We've mentioned it many times throughout this, but if you're not checking out that site, it's just an absolute, remembertheaba.com, just a wealth of knowledge that is just incredible of what they have in terms of pictures and visuals or whatever. Just an absolute asset to us this entire summer for this series. Absolutely. So they are good people. So go them.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go Garfield Heard and the shot. Another moment says the Suns-Celtics 3 overtime game that we mentioned. There was an unacknowledged timeout at the end of the first overtime that had been granted to Boston's Paul Silas that would have resulted in a technical foul and given the Suns a chance to win. Referee Richie Powers, who's a great name by the way, he chose to ignore the signal and the teams played on. The second overtime, Phoenix grabbed a 1-point lead with 4 seconds left, but that guy again, John Havlicek, raced the length of the floor and scored on a 15-foot bank shot that brought hundreds of Celtics fans pouring onto the court. After order was restored, the officials put 1 second back on the clock and prepared to give Phoenix the ball. That's when the Suns' Paul Westphal asked for and received a timeout he knew his team did not have. The strategy resulted in a technical foul, which stretched Boston's lead to 2, but enabled the Suns to make the inbound pass from midcourt, which is smart, really super smart strategy when you really think about it. Gar Heard caught the ensuing pass, turned and sank a jumper at the buzzer to send the game into its third overtime, which stunned the Boston crowd, which, of course, was waiting to jump onto that court and just celebrate the win. You can see it. There's video of this as well, and you can just see the entire baseline is just filled with fans and just their emotion when they aren't able to jump onto the court and when the game is going to a third overtime. It's just incredible. Of course, you get into 3 overtimes is going to be a little tricky here, and key players on both teams had fouled out. So seldom used reserve Glenn McDonald rose to the occasion for the Celtics. He scored 6 points in the third overtime to lead Boston to an exhausting 128-126 win. 2 days later, the Celtics beat the Suns 87-80 in Phoenix to wrap up their 13th NBA championship. So
during the Blazer Mania days, one key moment that really isn't talked about that much, Game 1 of the 1977 Western Conference Finals, the Blazers against the Nuggets, a Nuggets who'd come from the ABA and were a stout team and had a whole bunch of ex-ABA players, David Thompson, Dan Issel, Matt Calvin, the whole roster filled with Willie Wise, Byron Beck, and it went 6 games. It was a pretty close series, and Game 1, Maurice Lucas, also former ABA player, of course, hit the game winner with 11 seconds left in the game. He actually broke the play Jack Ramsey had called and backed his man down and just hit a jumper, and then Ramsey later, got on him about breaking the play, and Lucas was just like, hey Jack, I made the shot, so let's get over it. And Ramsey accepted that, but that's funny, just given the personality of Jack Ramsey, kind of funny. But and another famous one, the Bullets Sonics finals, Game 7 from 1978, and the Bullets had a big lead, but the Sonics were able to get it from 11 just to down to 4 with 90 seconds left. Mitch Kupchak for the Bullets came up with a 3-point play, and then Freddie Brown for the Sonics hit a short jumper, and Paul Silas got a tip in, and it was 101-99. Sile was then fouled Wes Unseld, who was not a good free throw shooter. And it looked like there was a chance and that the Bullets were able the Sonics were going to be able to pull it out, but Unseld hit both his free throws, and then moments later, Washington sealed it and was able to win 105-99. So cutting it close there, but they were able to Unseld hitting those clutch free throws was able to make it not the most exciting thing, but Unseld was not really the most exciting player. But this was an outlet pass. He wasn't doing all that much exciting, but coming through in the clutch.
This one is the 1979 Eastern Finals, the Bullets versus the Spurs, and Bob Dandridge hits a 15-foot jumper, 8 seconds remaining, and he broke a 105 all-tie. And this was one of 5 Game 7 game winners in NBA history with 10 seconds or less. So just a huge moment for that franchise as well, with just a great all-time great moment.
Yeah, and
great shot by Bob Dandridge.
Yeah, and the Bullets they overcame a 3-1 deficit to win this series.
Yes. Oh yeah, of course. Oh, and then last but not least, this one, not heroics, but I guess heroic in a different way. It's Darryl Dawkins. He broke 2 backboards in his career. One was at Kansas City's Municipal Auditorium on November 13th, 1979, and a second backboard 23 days later at the Philadelphia Spectrum. And because his dunks resulted in delays while teams went to find another backboard, the NBA eventually decided that they should probably just change the rims and make them collapsible. So we can thank Darryl Dawkins for that. But I thought that had to be at least mentioned at some point on the greatest moments, because just an incredible iconic, especially that guy with that much power, just destroying these nets too. And like we saw with Shaq, who eventually had his own displays of breaking. Like his breaks were just like, the station was kind of like bent or whatever, and there was one time where the backboard fell or whatever. But these are like, he dunked it, just glass just went all over the place, and those are just awesome to watch. Yeah. So I had to mention those.
They're crazy, absolutely. Yeah, there's no incredible certainly fits. Not
exactly.
Yes. So thanks for everyone for checking us out. You can find us at hardwoodparoxysm.com. We are on iTunes and Stitcher. If you search for Over and Back, you'll find us, and leave us a rating and review if you can. And also, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Over and Back NBA. So thanks everyone for listening, and we're back again soon.